Canada's one of our top 3 importers.
Yes, we also do a lot of business with them, but does that over 90% of our negotiations are us selling things to them? They need us more than we need them.
Okay, so I don't think that the 90% claim is going to be true, but I could agree that we're obviously going to export more to them than they export to us. If you turn your brain on, like, I swear to God, it'll make sense. How many Canadians are there?
It's a good question.
Around 44 million. How many Americans are there?
370 or something.
Oh, so there's more people in America that buy shit compared to people in Canada that buy shit. Obviously, we're going to be selling more shit to them than they sell to us.
We are the
that's
big dog.
Obvious. Okay, he has been able to successfully negotiate 0 trade agreements with any other country on the face of this planet, Canada included. In fact, he even ended the negotiations with Canada 2 days ago for no goddamn reason because he's so bad at what he does. Okay, and you're going to sit here and tell me that this is somehow a W? Please tell me how it's a W to not be able to successfully negotiate a single trade deal with any other country on earth in 150 days. Seth, so you're a Trump supporter.
I am.
Oh man. Oh dude, get a load of this guy. So why do you support such like a terrible president?
I thought he was better than the alternative. I feel like every election's a choice between 2 evils. So we just do what we can.
Okay, so your claim is if Kamala Harris was president right now, things would be worse off.
That's what I believe. Obviously, there's no way to tell for sure.
Well, how about you try to convince me of that view? Take it away.
I think she'd be basically just another puppet king, if you will.
I'm tired of this rhetoric. I want an argument with substance. I don't just want words.
Well, the substance goes pretty deep. I would say Kamala. The war started in Ukraine 3 days after she left. She had the highest funding for a campaign of all time and failed horribly. If she really is smart like you believe, it seems like with all that money and all that intellect, she should have easily been able to sway the entire nation to her side.
I find that to be an incredibly disingenuous argument.
How so?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you're essentially saying that Donald Trump was better compared to Kamala Harris because he won and she lost. I mean, it's just an appeal to populism. We can't just say because the majority of the people think that one candidate is better than the other. This must mean the candidate that lost just wasn't as smart and was the worst out of 2 evils. So, I mean, like the way that we could like demonstrate this would just be simply by demonstrating that Biden had won the election against Trump in 2020. According to your logic, this would mean that Biden is smarter than Trump, but yet Kamala Harris is dumber than Trump, meaning that Biden is smarter than Kamala Harris. And I think just to his age, that's not true.
Just the way that the pendulum swings, one president is obviously going to receive, popularity while they're in office. It was a change that the people voted for, and then they voted for another change. They actually decided.
So you're just telling us that you think that Donald Trump is better because of change. So what does he want to change that you're a fan of?
No, I'm saying that Joe Biden got elected due to people wanting a change, and then they went back to Trump because they didn't like that.
So do you have any reasons why you think that Trump is better?
I would say the main ones go to him being more for change.
Okay, what change
rather than tradition?
Well, I mean, we got to clarify that change isn't always a good thing. So you'd have to clarify what the specific change is and justify that it's a good thing.
Yeah, I would argue that change is generally a good thing due to eventually it's straightening out. So let's say he were to make a lot of mistakes.
Okay. So then what changed specifically?
All of the ones that went overboard would be dialed back in the next election.
Can you tell me what changed specifically?
I do think that our trade agreements have been made to be a little bit better, as well as our funding for all the organizations we're a part of.
How many signed trade agreements has he gotten in the last 155 days?
What was that?
How many signed trade agreements has he gotten in the last 155 days?
I mean, I'm mainly talking about the negotiations with Canada and Mexico.
He literally said 2 days ago that he's done negotiating with Canada.
Well, yeah, Canada isn't negotiating. They're a small... They have no actual thing to bring to the situation. They're shouting that we're, tyrannical, but they have nothing to offer.
So you think it's Canada's fault? It's everybody's fault but our own. So because Donald Trump has been able to successfully negotiate 0 trade agreements in the last 155 days, this doesn't speak to Donald Trump's ability to negotiate at all. It only speaks to the other country's willingness. No, you're completely out. You're completely delusional. Canada is one of our closest allies. They sit right on our northern border. They are our neighbor. They are our friend. And then here you come swinging in and swinging out, telling us that it's their fault, not ours. Absolutely ridiculous.
That's not what I'm talking about. Over 90%
okay, so
of the
then you agree that it is Donald Trump's fault?
Exports from the United States.
Canada is one of our top 3 importers.
Yes, we also do a lot of business with them, but does that over 90% of our negotiations are us selling things to them? They need us more than we need them.
Okay, so I don't think that the 90% claim is going to be true, but I could agree that we're obviously going to export more to them than they export to us. If you turn your brain on, like I swear to God, it'll make sense. How many Canadians are there?
It's a good question.
Around 44 million. How many Americans are there?
370 or something.
Oh, so there's more people in America that buy shit compared to people in Canada that buy shit. Obviously, we're going to be selling more shit to them than they sell to us.
We are the big dog.
Obvious. Okay, right?
We get better negotiation.
Now, how does this doesn't respond? This doesn't respond to what I said at all. Because if you're listening to what I said, then you would have heard me point out that he has been able to successfully negotiate 0 trade agreements with any other country on the face of this planet, Canada included. In fact, he even ended the negotiations with Canada 2 days ago for no goddamn reason, because he's so bad at what he does, okay? And you're going to sit here and tell me that this is somehow a W? Please tell me how it's a W to not be able to successfully negotiate a single trade deal with any other country on Earth in 150 days.
I mean, he is negotiating with all of those countries.
Oh,
this is just
okay. It's just ongoing? Well, if it hasn't happened in the first 150 days, how can you tell me that it is going to happen in the next? And then also, once again, I'd like to clarify that it's not ongoing with Canada. He literally said that we are no longer negotiating with Canada.
Yeah, but we already got the main negotiations out of the way. They're forced to basically look heavier into the drug trade and control their border. Those were the things that we negotiated in the first 150 days.
That's also not true.
Have you looked into that?
Yeah, I have looked into that. That's why I know it's not true.
Yes, it is. Look it up.
Nope. So you know that original deal that was announced where we lifted our tariffs and we got border control from them?
Well, we temporarily withdrew our tariffs. We postponed them
and you know how
for
we
that
got
control.
we got new border control from them?
Yes, we did get new border control from both Canada and Mexico.
So no, we didn't get it from Canada. In fact, the takeaway from
Canada is throwing a tantrum.
Okay. Do you have like one solid claim here? Because you keep on like contradicting yourself. You say that we're negotiating with Canada, then I say no, we're actually not negotiating with Canada. He withdrew all negotiations. So then you say, well, he already negotiated something good, such as border control from them. I then turn around and I'm like,
let me ask you a question.
Why are you interrupting me? Are you able to act your age and like not interrupt me?
Okay, finish your thought.
And then you say that, well, he's already negotiated good things for them, such as border patrol. And that's when I turn around, I'm like, no, he actually hasn't. So the original trade deal about new border patrol actually wasn't real. In fact, they just re-announced a policy passed through their parliament in December of 2024. And then you turn around and you say, oh, because that's Canada. That's why Canada sucks. So which one is it? Is he negotiating with Canada or is he not negotiating with Canada? Did he negotiate better border control or did he not negotiate better border control? Because so far you've affirmed all 4 of those statements.
The tariffs were made to basically control both Canada and Mexico.
Answer my question. Which one is it? Is he negotiating with Canada or is he not negotiating with Canada? Did he get better border patrol or did he not get better border patrol?
At the moment, he is not negotiating with Canada.
Okay, so there's the first one. He's not negotiating with Canada. So when you told us that you liked his negotiations with Canada, you were lying.
You act your age? Why are you interrupting me? Can you act your age?
Yeah, for sure, man. I'll act my age. So you answered our first question there.
Okay.
So he's not negotiating with Canada. So then when you say that you liked his negotiations with Canada, you're completely incoherent. Now answer the second question. Did he get border patrol or did he not get border patrol?
He got more control on the border. There are less crossings. There is less drugs.
Okay. So
if you have a
so once again, that's not true.
Document.
So once again, that's not true. So you announced border patrol from Canada was actually passed in December of last year, before he was president. So that's not true.
Well, it was probably also taken back because they're throwing a tantrum thinking they have any power in the situation at all.
Okay, I don't even know what that response means. So, I mean, are you contradicting yourself again?
Every Canadian state is clapping back against Trump, pretending that they have any chance of negotiating with the U.S.
So which one is it? Did we get border patrol or did we not? Because you've affirmed you've said that we have gone border patrol and you've said that we haven't gone border patrol like 5 fucking times. Which one is it?
I would say probably not anymore.
Okay, so we're not negotiating with Canada and we didn't get better border control. So then why do you support his ongoing negotiations with Canada that you've affirmed don't exist?
We are not negotiating with them now.
Okay, but you said that we were, and you said that's a reason why you like Trump. But you said that we were, and you said that's a reason that you like Trump. So now you acknowledge that that's a reason to not like Trump?
When the person that you're negotiating with is unreasonable, you're not just going to sit at the table forever. Eventually, you have to leave and let them come back with a counteroffer.
Okay, so you think that Canada's unreasonable?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I mean,
they feel like they have a lot more power in the situation than they do.
You don't understand that it's not just Canada who hasn't been able to get a trade deal with. It's actually every other country on Earth.
China too.
It's every other country on Earth.
Has had very beneficial tariff negotiations.
There's
with
not
most
how many
countries.
how many trade deals has he reached in the last 150 days?
How many tariff negotiations have happened?
Answer my question. How many trade deals has he reached?
You never answer mine.
How many trade deals has he reached in the last 155 days?
I haven't looked up the exact number of trade deals, no.
It's 0, so is every other country on Earth unreasonable?
He has negotiated tariffs, which, if you include that as a trade deal, countless.
No, there's not a single trade. There's not a single signed trade deal with any other country on Earth. So do you think?
Okay, that's not what I said. I
yes,
said
it is.
That
Wait, you said that he oh my God! So now you're walking back on your original claim that you support his idea of like better trade deals. Okay, so what specific tariffs has he implemented? Not talking about trade deals anymore. Literally just implemented tariffs. What tariffs has he implemented that make you a fan of him?
Honestly, all of them.
Okay, so you like the 55% tariffs on China that literally make Americans pay more for Chinese goods and don't do anything to get companies to move from China into America because it is the place that they'll just divert their products through a third-party country?
Okay, you asked me a question. Did you want me to respond, or did you want to just keep talking over me there?
I wasn't talking over you. I was finishing my question. I said, do you like the 55% tariffs that he imposed on China, even though that just makes Americans pay more for Chinese goods, and it doesn't make any companies in China move to America because they'll just direct their products through third country? And
I said yes, because it's a negotiation tactic that is ongoing.
Ongoing to negotiate what?
The tariff amounts.
So what do you think he's going to end up negotiating?
A better deal on tariffs for the U.S. specifically.
Okay, what is that deal going to look like?
Probably the same tariffs or dropping all tariffs altogether with every country. Okay, there's no reason for milk to cost 5 times the amount if it's coming from Canada as opposed to going to Canada.
So he imposed 55% tariffs on China in order to negotiate 0 tariffs on all countries.
He imposed a lot of tariffs on a lot of different countries. The one on China specifically is, you did say China, right? The 55%, was that China or Canada?
It's China, so I'm trying to identify why you like that.
Because it's a negotiation tactic. It's temporary.
To negotiate what?
A better tariff deal.
What will that deal look like, as I already asked?
They've been working on it for a while. At the moment, it is... Obviously, we're still rather outrageous with our side. They are probably going to have a counter offer here.
Okay, so what is the trade deal?
Of course, Trump pretended that I believe it was a 25% tariff for China and an additional 30% tariff for China, as opposed to them having a flat 10% tariff on us, and I believe there was another negotiation in there too.
So you're saying that
obviously
you're saying that ultimately he's just going to negotiate China having higher tariffs on America?
No, he is going to negotiate a profitable trade.
But I'm asking you what that profitable trade deal looks like.
The same. 10% from both sides, perhaps.
10% from both sides. So, yeah, China's effective tariff rate on America right now is around 10 to 11%. So all that he'd have to do to get that trade deal is to reduce the tariffs that we have imposed on them. But he isn't, meaning that he doesn't want that trade deal. So that's not what it looks like.
He, of course, has other things that he wants from China. Also, the deals aren't finalized either. All of this stuff is still up in the air and has been for the last
this doesn't change
months.
He could finalize like a flat 10% tariff rate on China than China having that same flat 10% tariff rate on us by just simply reducing our tariffs on them, because that's already what their tariff rate on America is on average. Yeah, I mean, feel free to fact check me. The average rate of tariff that China has on America today is about 11%.
Has that been the case for, let's say, the past year?
So that's the case right now.
What was their tariff rate last year?
So the question of what their tariff it was around 20%. But that question that question doesn't matter because it is a case that you said his goal is to get a flat 10% tariff on both countries. So they already have around 11% tariff on us. All that we'd have to do is to reduce our tariffs on them, and he's not doing that. So thereby, that's not the deal that he wants.
That on everything, or just specific goods, or an average of goods?
It's an average tariff, Seth. So can you repeat what I just told you?
That the 10% tariff is the averaged rate for China, you're saying?
It's around 11.
Down from 20% the prior year?
And more so, what did I say?
That was the one that I remember that you were talking about. Okay, well, you talked pretty quickly.
What I said that all Donald Trump would have to do in order to get a average 10 to 11% rate of tariff on both countries is to reduce our tariffs on them. Okay, and he's not doing
I would say that's in the... Perhaps he's going for a better deal.
Okay, so what does that better deal look like?
I mean, right now it's just having them sign the deal,
okay,
which they are probably not going to do.
You're saying that we've already given them a deal.
This 10% tariff.
So what is the deal that we've given them? What is the deal that we've given them?
Finalized?
What is the deal that we've given them that they need to sign?
Okay, let me look up the exact numbers if you'd like.
Jesus Christ, you don't even know what you're talking about. Hey, Seth, you're absolutely just insane. But I have to restart the live stream because it is the case that we got a live violation.